Good morning, everyone. My name is Brandon Libao, and today I'm going to be speaking to you folks about the use of drug testing as a requirement for eligibility of financial aid. So, how many of you folks are college students here? All right, and how many of you folks are receiving some type of financial aid, either parents or, oh, okay, well. If you aren't, then you're like me and you know that paying for college is no easy task, out-of-pocket expensive. As put by Aaron Lamb of Nonprofit Quarterly, financially, at the forefront of college dropout is cost. There's reasons for college dropout is cost. Not only tuition, but books, housing, and transportation. So what is financial aid? Financial aid is, as you can see by the textbook definition of it, but basically it's just money given to students to help pay for their college and college lifestyle. Some of you might be wondering where this money comes from. The money given in financial aid are by these four major institutions here. Federal government, which contributes 58%. State and universities and colleges themselves contribute equal amounts at 18% apiece, and the last 6% is covered by private organizations in the form of scholarships and grants and what have you. Okay. So, how common is financial aid in the U.S.? Here's a quick chart that'll show what the percentage of students in each type of institution. 83% in public institutions, including state colleges. Private institutions, which are a little more pricey, 89%, and two-year degree or certificate programs, a little less, but still adequate amounts. All right, so who gets a slice of the pie? Circling back to what Aaron Lamb said, the cost of college is the major reason for dropout. Knowing this, a lot of people who receive financial aid don't get as much as they possibly could, and as we seen earlier, financial aid is so widely distributed. But this wide distribution is the actual downfall. There's only a limited amount of funds, and I think that we need to find a better way to vet or sift out who deserves these funds, and that's the major factor we should look at, is who deserves the money the most. I think that we should implement drug tests as a requirement for eligibility because those who are willing to abide by the rules and the law should be given the best chance for success. Okay, so eligibility is determined by a ton of guidelines, but we're going to focus on just two. The first one we're going to focus on is students must show the need for financial assistance. Hey, if you need financial assistance and you're willing to abide by the rules or the laws, and what after this speech I hope will become a rule, then you should be given the best chance. And the second one is pertains to convictions for the possession or sale of drugs. We're going to circle back to that a little later. Okay? So, here's the main topic of today's discussion. Drug tests in the use, who receives financial aid. Okay. So, popularity and effects of drugs in college students. We're going to look at the three most prevalent drugs in college students. First, cocaine. Old school. Okay? 5% of all college students admit to being regular users of cocaine. They use it basically for dealing with the stresses of college life, feelings of euphoria, wakefulness, and overall CNS stimulation. It wakes you up, raises your blood pressure. There are adverse effects to it: tremors, convulsions, coupled with seizures, and paranoia if you become dependent on it and withdraw. Second most prevalent is marijuana. 21% of college students admit to smoking marijuana within the last year, and 4.4% admit to being avid smokers. Again, they use it to combat stress, feelings of euphoria. There are some lesser effects, adverse effects, dry mouth and dizziness, and some greater, more long-lasting, long-term effects: lack of motivation, depression, and memory impairment, which is, as we know, very important in college students. Okay? And the third, prescription stimulants, Adderall and Ritalin. These stimulants basically just mimic the effects of amphetamines in the human body. They are used in 10.8% of all college students across the U.S., and 90% of the use is within the last 2 weeks of each semester. And reasons for student use: increased wakefulness and invigoration, decreased appetite, and of course CNS stimulation like cocaine shuts down the need peristalsis in the bowels, bladder. You don't need to go to the bathroom. You can go through these long study sessions with no problem. Adverse effects: sleeplessness, dependence, and irritability, and of course cardiac issues. Okay? So there is one guideline right now that is implemented that does deter like drug related, that determines eligibility, that kind of keeps the money for those who deserve it most, and that is conviction due to drugs, some type of conviction. And the duration of your ineligibility is determined by the nature of your conviction, I guess, or crime. Possession and sales, as you can see, have different durations. If you get caught selling more than twice, you're indefinitely ineligible for financial aid. Okay. And lastly, repayment of federal Pell Grants. Students are not required to pay back Title IV funds, which are federal Pell Grants, as long as they're enrolled for more than half of a semester. If you couple that with dropout ratings, dropout statistics, 70% of all college students drop out or participate in discontinuous enrollment within the first year of college, and 2/3 of them never achieve the degree they set out. So if you couple that with all these people who don't have to pay back the money that they received assistance for, you're looking at a lot of wasted money. Okay? So, in conclusion, we're going to look at the 3 major points I want you guys to take away from today is that currently there is no regulation on drug use in students receiving financial aid. Drugs have potential, as we can see, to negatively affect academic performance. In a study in the University of Michigan of 1,875 students, it showed that you have a 200% more increased likelihood of dropping out if you avidly smoke marijuana, 66% if you occasionally smoke marijuana. And last point, federal money dispersed to students need not be repaid so long as half the semester is completed. Guys, that's a lot of money for a lot of people who aren't willing to follow the rules. Okay, they're not giving themselves the best chance of success. Alright, do we have any questions? If you guys have any questions, you guys can, or you guys remember any questions, you can check out these references. They're going to be on the handout I gave to you guys a little earlier. And thank you for coming.